How we doing? Here today with my good friend Ryan Ashton. We're starting our second segment of our new podcast. And thanks for coming out on the show today, buddy.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here.
Yeah, dude. So we're going to be doing these podcasts, like I said, every 2 to 4 weeks. And the goal is to bring in influential guys that are in our community. Ryan started an amazing sushi restaurant in town that I absolutely love. It's by far my favorite sushi restaurant. We're going to be talking about that today. And let's just kick it off. Kind of give us a quick overview of, yourself, your background, and then we'll go into some fun topics here today.
All right. Well, I guess I can be first to say that I'm not Leucadia native, but North County native.
Okay.
My parents are both from Oceanside and Carlsbad, so stayed local here, and I'm happy to be raising my family here today.
Totally.
I guess background for me was grew up in a tougher family environment.
Okay.
And was looking to, I guess, better myself, better my family as I was moving on, and started out in the financial services industry while I was going to college.
Okay.
And started as a bank teller, working for $8 an hour. And
I was right there with you.
And just kept hustling. And they gave me the opportunity to advance myself. And so I took it. And by 20 years old, I was a bank manager and worked my way from there.
Okay.
And then realized that's being a retail manager wasn't exactly what I wanted to do.
Sure.
Was stuck with a schedule, went from that route and decided that, hey, there are places in the financial service industry that you can control your own life.
Right.
And became a financial advisor. My first 3 years in the business was the number one financial advisor in the nation. So,
holy smokes.
For new advisors, I should say.
Okay.
And
that's impressive.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was able to, I guess, check that box of being able to say, hey, I kind of made it,
accomplished something.
And it meant a lot to me. As that time went on, you manage money. You look at a computer all day, right?
Right.
So
that's what I do.
So yeah, there's some great parts about that, right? You see people's dreams kind of come true to some extent. All the planning that you put in place and you see those things happen. It's really nice. But there's also, from a creativity standpoint, it's only so much you can do, right?
Sure.
You're within a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, being able to step outside of that box was important. I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Okay.
I had a friend that owned a restaurant in Leucadia, and I was down there hanging out with him, and we were drinking a couple beers, and
that's where some of the best ideas come from.
And eating, and he goes, "Hey, there's a spot down the street that came up for rent. You should go take a look at it."
Okay.
Why would I take a look at it?
Right.
What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with a restaurant? And so we walked down there, and we're taking a look at it. And I go, hey, I have this ability to see a good business one way or another, right? Whether it was something that I knew anything about or not, I knew that the location was a hit.
It was a hit. So, it's right on the PCH. I mean, it's like prime time.
Yeah, Leucadia Boulevard and 101. It's and it's continuing to grow, right? You can see the amount, especially in the summertime. You see the amount of foot traffic you have walking down there. So,
totally.
I saw the opportunity just in the location alone.
And what year was it? Was this like 5 years ago?
This is 5 years ago in September. Actually, 5 years ago in March is when we signed the lease. So just over 5 years now.
Well, and again, I think I obviously knew you when you were opening the restaurant because we were talking about it. We were like, I don't know if we were out to dinner at a barbecue or something. You were telling me about the restaurant. I'm a big sushi fan. And I think you had some challenges, right? Like once you actually open, I want to get into that a little deeper with the wasn't it licensing or something, and like that was a setback, or it wasn't your business plan to like not have alcohol.
No, we had a ton of challenges. Well, I could just start out from all of my mentors, right? So as time goes on, they're looking at you going, hey, Ryan, what are you doing? Like, like opening a restaurant's a bad idea, right?
The percentage of restaurants that fail, it's like it's first year, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's really tough to crack that egg,
exactly,
or crack that shell or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. So they looked at me and said, Ryan, what are you thinking, right? Like you give people advice for a living. I'm going to go ahead and give you some free advice right now. I've done this. These are people who have opened many successful businesses that own and they can do whatever they want to do. And they're looking at me going, what are you doing? This is a bad idea. And you know, I'm like, well, I already signed the lease, so we'll figure it out.
I'm all in.
And that's kind of the way I've been in life, right?
Yeah.
Is just all in. If you think once I decided that's the direction I was going, there's no stopping. So, so that's what we did. So we moved forward from there and opened the restaurant. There were some stumbling blocks in that I had no idea that you couldn't just go get a beer and wine license. Like, hey, can I just, here's the money.
Yeah, like pay for it.
Here's my, yeah.
What comes in the mail?
Here's the money. Here's my credit report. What do you need? You know,
Right.
like what, you know, here you go.
Apply, get
Yeah.
approval, done.
Yeah. And so it wasn't quite that simple. And so I got to learn the process for that. It took me a year.
That's
And we
insane.
get
So you had a restaurant for a year where you couldn't serve any alcohol, which majority of your profits, I assume alcohol drives that with the margins.
big portion of profits. People eat more when they're drinking as well.
Sure.
They order more. And then so you have that profit. And then you have just the idea of, hey, I'm going to go have sushi, but I can't have a beer with that.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Okay.
weird, right? Like the idea of like, it's just, they seem like they go hand in hand.
Totally.
At least they do for me.
They do for me.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and needless to say, there was a lot of coffee cups around there. I don't know. I think people were drinking coffee.
Might have been guilty.
BYOB.
I might have been guilty of that at one point.
I don't know. I wasn't checking, but
Yeah.
I did see a lot. I figured coffee and sushi was a new thing, you know.
Coffee and sushi.
Yes, a lot of solo cups.
But no, we made it through. And it was a challenging period. Learning, you know, food costs, learning management of scheduling, learning and running another business at the same time, right?
Right.
Our first week in business, our walk-in went out the second day and we opened.
Walk-in,
the whole walk-in.
yeah.
So every fish, everything you own, that all of your products is gone. You throw it all, you close down the next day, you throw it all away,
Gosh.
you clean the entire thing out
Start all over.
and start over, order everything all over again. So it happened twice to us
Oh
in
my
our
God.
first week.
That's crazy.
So that is, if there wasn't a sign of like the tough times are ahead, you know, like, what did I get myself into? You know, as I see myself scrubbing the walk-in floor.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, no, it was tough. It was tough. You know, it made me realize that, you know, those guys that said, hey, your life's going to change as a result of this. You're married to it. It's your
Yeah.
baby, right? It's
Yeah.
something that, although you get the immediate satisfaction,
Mhm.
you're also every problem you're the only person that it goes to, right?
Totally.
The buck stops here.
Buck stops there. Yeah.
So, so that was, you know, there's a big learning experience watching the business grow.
Yeah. Well, and then obviously, you know, COVID, right? 2020 comes, restaurants. It's like, I mean, that must, I know,
Nobody could see that coming.
No
I
one
don't
could
think,
see- yeah,
right?
nobody could see
That
that
wasn't
coming.
in my business plan.
yeah, it wasn't a business plan, but you guys, I remember ordering, you know, takeout where it was like, you guys brought it out to the curb, you know, you guys like figured out a business plan for that piece of when you were allowed to do that.
So yeah, so we just transitioned. You know, I think that's the biggest thing about any business, right? Is the idea that there's things going to come that you don't know where they're going to come or how they're going to come and how they're going to manifest themselves. But the idea that you're gonna adapt to them,
Mhm.
and you're gonna make it work. So there was no, we're just gonna fail today. We're gonna roll over and let this take over.
Not an option.
Wasn't an option for us.
Yeah.
And so
you've overcome that adversity. I mean, over and over, and you have that work ethic. I mean, you were telling me before about like when you were younger, how, you know, you had that drive and that work ethic from a young age. I think your grandfather even played into that a little bit. So let's talk about that for a minute.
yeah, you know, my grandfather, I guess he played a big part in my life of where I am today. I wouldn't have been a financial advisor if it wasn't for him. As a kid, he talked to me a lot about dollar cost averaging. He's right. It's all about dollar cost averaging,
yeah.
you know, and there's a book. I got this book for you. You need to read it. And so
Okay.
I didn't really read much about it, but I listened a lot. And
Okay.
so I sat and I talked to him and he'd talk and he'd repeat himself a lot too. So that helped. But over and over and over again, we talked and he gave me the opportunity to essentially invest with him, open my first savings account. I remember he always did these things on my birthday. So I think I was like 7 and he says, hey, we're going to open a bank account. So he went through and he goes, here's all my change.
Okay.
And he goes, you have to wrap it all. So I sat there and on my birthday,
I remember doing that little papers,
wrapping all the, yeah,
put all the pennies, the dimes, the
exactly.
quarters. Yep.
So I sat there and I wrapped every coin that he had. And I ended up, and I think there's $100 worth of coins or something like that.
7 years old.
Yeah,
Stoked.
I was. I
And
couldn't have
back
been
then,
happier.
even $100 was like, you know, crazy.
And I had a little bit of birthday money from myself, from my other grandparents and uncles and aunts and uncles and things. And so we went and I think I had almost $300 by the time it was said and done.
Okay.
We went and opened my first bank account in Carlsbad at the Bank of
Solid.
America on Carlsbad Village Drive there.
Nice.
And got to meet the manager and everything. My grandfather made sure it was a full experience. We got to walk into the vault, see how things were going. He's like, this is how a bank works. Taught me how interest works. And he goes, imagine your dollars going out. They're going to go out for work for you every day. And they're going to carry their little lunch pails to work. And then they're going to go work. And then they're going to come back home. And every day they're going to do the same thing over and over for you. And the kind of the
put that mindset in. Yeah.
It
put your money to work for you. Yeah.
So as I continued, my brothers get their money and they'd spend it on their birthday. They'd spend it like, go, hey, go buy a toy. The ice cream man came by and they bought ice cream or toys or whatever it was. And my grandfather always had to deal with us that every dollar we saved, he'd match.
Okay.
So every dollar I got, I put in. And a few years later, and we were up to a couple $1,000s or so. And he said, hey, Ryan, I think that there's a better investment out there than a savings account for you. And I was fearful, right? I'm like, wait, I haven't lost a penny yet in this. I'm getting 100% return day one, right?
Pretty good investment.
Totally.
So I said, I don't know. I don't know if that's for me. And he goes, well, what if I doubled it again? And I said, well, I have 50% downside protection. Okay, I can handle that. And so he says, I think we should put the money in the stock market. And he goes, where do you think we should put it?
And how old are you at this time? Like
11 years old.
11 years old. Okay.
I'm 11 years old. I
got a couple $1,000, you know, maybe dabble in the stock market.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I didn't know, so where am I going to put money in the stock market? I don't know.
Too young to buy a car. So it's like, what am I going to do?
Between that and the strip club, I couldn't decide.
Read the newspaper. Stock tips.
So he looks at it, he says, okay, well, you know, I got a couple ideas. And he says, I think based upon your age, being a little more aggressive is probably a good idea. And, you know, these microchips are kind of important to everybody and see where it's going. He goes, so we're going to put it into Intel.
What year are we in? Like 80s, 90s?
Yeah,
90s?
1992 or something like
around
that.
the early 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
So Intel.
And so,
unbelievable.
Yeah. So he says, we're going to put it into Intel. And I said, okay. So it turns out Intel ended up paying for my college and
unbelievable.
Worked out pretty well for me. I learned another lesson about margining your account after that as well, because that's as we were in college, the stock market crashed, right? But you know, it ended up paying for it, and so that was a good thing.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I'm super thankful for a lot of lessons my grandfather taught me.
Absolutely. Now, did he teach you to fish? Because I know you're a big fisher guy.
No, my dad got us into fishing as kids. Okay. And so we'd go out on Hellgrens there at Oceanside. Okay. And we'd get out there and we'd help on the boats too, to be able to get to fish more. And we'd find coupons and, you know, remember those coupon books that you used to get? Yep. We'd find coupons, we'd get 1/2 off. Okay. And go fish. And so that got us started as kids. And then when I was, I don't know, 18, 19 years old, I bought my first boat. Okay. And just to fish on, to get out on the water, or where did you go out in the ocean? Yeah, I went on the ocean. I didn't realize that I should probably have a better boat than I had to be out there, right? Y'all start somewhere. But I was like, dude, I had a boat. I had put fuel in it. And I'm like, we can go. I didn't realize there was probably more. Now, knowing what I know now, I'm like surprised I'm still alive. But sunk it. But yeah, I mean, we were out there. I mean, I remember being out there in a bayliner. 19.5-foot bayliner, and we're 15 miles offshore. Oh my! Fishing for yellowfin tuna, and the swell starts coming in. No, we literally hook up. We're in the middle of these like multi-million-dollar boats. Yeah, and we're sitting here hooking up left and right. We all of a sudden we've got 8 yellowfin tuna sitting in the boat, 30-40 pound fish, right? Oh my! All the other boats, just blood everywhere. I have carpet on the floor of this boat, by the way. Smelled amazing. There's nowhere to wash this off. There's not. You're sitting here and we're sitting there and so we teach the other boats how to catch the fish, which is pretty cool, right? You're sitting here in this boat that probably doesn't even deserve to be there. Right. You're the dinghy for their boat. Exactly. And those guys, they were stoked that we showed them what we were catching fish on. Yeah. And so memories like that is what bring you back to fishing, just like any, I think, big hobby. Yeah. There's those moments in life that stick with you. Totally. That was one of those, I guess they call them core memories now or whatever. But it sticks with you. And so getting out there and doing that, we ran out of gas shortly thereafter. And out there you ran out of gas. And I had a 5-gallon jerry jug on the boat, right? Okay. So I put it in. but 5 gallons to get 15 miles in a boat's not,
Mm-mm.
it's not a good thing. Right. So
No,
we're,
'cause you gotta
Straight line.
You have to troll.
so we have to go slow, right?
Yeah,
That's
you
it.
go
So we have to troll. We're like, well, we better put the lines back out then.
Let's keep fishing since we're heading home.
Since we're heading
On
home.
emergency 5-gallon gas.
So we caught more fish.
Caught more fish.
So
Record
we came
day.
back. We came back home. Buddy of mine lived here on the lagoon. We sat on the dock out there and filleted the fish and hooked everybody up. It's right around July 4th.
Okay, I'll see you were like the hero.
And, yeah, so we handed out tuna to everybody, and it was just a good experience. Fast forward from there, a couple boats later, I had boats down in Mexico, and was spending every weekend fishing.
Okay,
And then doing longer range trips. Ended up with some really good friends with I guess call them yachts, right?
Yeah.
And getting
Nice
down, yeah, really nice boats, and
expensive boats.
and so we'd be down. I mean, we'd be on the water for 10, 12 days straight, just fishing,
Holy
to
smokes.
touch the ground.
Wow,
So
unbelievable.
yeah, it was a good experience, and it was an opportunity to be out there. When you're out there, I think it's very peaceful. Just
Totally.
being you're away from everybody.
Kind of shut everything out. The
Yeah.
world's kind of
Phone doesn't ring.
Phone doesn't ring.
Phone doesn't ring.
That's
and
the best part.
Yeah, and so you get away from all the problems, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of recenter.
I love it.
Drink a lot of tequila, and
where's my invite? Let's go. Sounds amazing.
And come back to life from there, and
Yeah.
and so that was a good experience for me.
Okay.
And it's kind of I guess formed what I hope I'm going to be doing in retirement. And,
Yeah.
things like that. So
Well, and so is that also kind of going back to the sushi story? You have a love of fish, you eat it, there's
so that's how I decided what I was going to put in that. So we're sitting here looking at this building going, what are we going to do here? We're like, oh, we want to put ramen in. Do we want to do that? We want to just want to turn it into a bar.
Yeah.
Bar sounds cool. So we started going, remember we didn't have a liquor
I was gonna say it's kind of tough without a liquor license.
it's a non-alcoholic bar.
What would you say you do here?
We got hotels, we got,
Yeah. So we're sitting here going, we're running the ideas through, and originally it was going to have a partner in it.
okay.
And so we were sitting there, and I just go, you know what? I know what I like to eat. And I'm looking around and seeing what other restaurants were around and what the caliber of the restaurant was. And I think that seeing that it immediately sparked an interest in, well, why don't we do sushi? Because we love it. We eat it at least once a week. We knew we could drive a lot of people in there just from our own circle of influence. Right. And the other side of sushi, sourcing the fish, meeting the local fishermen, doing all of that was a big part of it for me.
You told me that when I was in there one time. I think it might have been the last time I was in there. I was talking about just the quality, and like you can taste the difference, right? And there's like different levels of fish that you can source from different places, and you guys are like the top premium quality.
So my chefs have zero, like they've I don't stop them at all. They can order whatever they want.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing. I say, you guys are just responsible to make sure it sells. I don't want to throw away things. Right.
Okay.
So that's a big deal for me. My chefs, they have full carte blanche control over whatever they want to order. Okay. So if they want to order bluefin belly from Spain, we order bluefin belly from Spain. If we want New Zealand king salmon, we order New Zealand king salmon. If we want uni from Hokkaido, Japan, we're getting uni from Hokkaido, Japan. And so, those are things so we're taking the best of every place in the world and bringing it and putting it in front of you here. And so the chefs get kind of an excitement about that too, right? I mean, Imagine that every restaurant they've worked at before said, hey, you can order except for in this fish category, you can only order up to this level or this cost price, or you can, and I've never stopped them. So we just order small amounts, order it daily, and so when it's gone, it's gone. And that's what I wanted to eat as a consumer. I wanted to know that it was fresh.
You can taste it. You can tell.
Your tongue's not going to lie to you.
No.
And I wanted to know it was fresh. I wanted to know that that we were doing something different than other people as well.
Okay.
But that that was important to me, not that, hey, that old adage of don't go to the sushi bar on Monday. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go there on Monday, bro.
The leftovers.
Yeah.
Why does every roll have salmon on it?
Right.
Exactly. So, so it was opportunity to kind of show off from that. It's more of a hobby at first. I didn't know. I mean, I like making money. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But like anybody, but it was kind of like a more of like a give back type thing, like something to scratch that more, I guess, creative itch, right? Yeah. And you get to look at things in a different way.
It's a creative business to run, especially the way you've structured it and set it up. and it's a tiny space too, right? I mean, which I think is kind of cool. It's more intimate.
My brother and I built that place out. It was a bakery when we
Really?
walked in there. Yeah. So it was a bakery. So you see all the
wood,
rafters,
yeah.
Exposed wood, all that stuff. We did everything.
Okay.
I had a couple of chefs come in. One of them being Dave and Wade up there at Wrench and Rodent.
Okay.
And he came in and helped me just from an ergonomic standpoint, decide where, when working with the kitchen that small, how things are set up really matter. These guys have to, and it's all about not the less amount of movement that they have to go through to be able to get their job done, the better, right? So where the plates are going to be, how high your cutting boards are, all that type of stuff that you have no idea. You're like, dude, it's a kitchen.
You didn't go to school for that.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? So everything down to to the half an inch or 16th of an inch, we measured. Even the booths that are there, we custom built everything that was in there. And so it was based upon exactly the way you wanted to sit, wanted to be comfortable, the chairs that are in there. So everything that went, because it's such a small location, being able to size it specifically to get the most amount of people in there, but have them be comfortable and enjoy their time while they're there too, mattered to us.
When I was looking at Yelp, just kind of prepping for our conversation, and the reviews you have are like off the charts, like and a lot of reviews in what I consider a short period of time compared to other restaurants that are even more established. You've got more reviews than those in that class, and they're all like, your service levels are insane. Like everyone, and I felt it every time I'm there. Like the people you have working there matter. Like you do a good job of, let's talk about that. Like bringing in talent and teaching them how to take care of guests is important. I love it when I see a server that's just super dialed and makes you feel good and you want to tip them well and all that. But you have a very unique staff.
Well, I think it's important, one, to kind of mirror, the environment where you're at, right? So that getting the locals that are the people that lived in that area as much as possible to come in and work there as well is nice. But also taking the younger kids that have never worked anywhere before and teaching the value of hard work, right? And all those things that your parents gave you didn't just fall from the tree, right? Fall from the sky, right? You had to work for them. And here's what it looks like. But you're going to be rewarded as a result of it. And our customers have been amazing to our staff, and they've come back and their tip percentages are off the charts. And so we kind of try to overstaff it a little bit intentionally, so you're getting that better service. And at the same time, trying to educate our staff on what we're doing differently than other places, so that when you come there, you learn something new about sushi. That's one of the things I remember back when IPAs were coming out, everybody became an IPA expert, right?
Totally.
You're like, I know everything about these beers. Let me tell you, I got to take you to the bar so I can show you about this beer I found.
Passion for beer.
Yeah. So if I could do that same thing for sushi at a small level, right? To teach you a little bit about why we're bringing in this particular fish at this time of year, what's different about it, how we're enhancing that flavor, what we're doing differently than another place, then I can create that. I mean, I think back in the day when my business side of me, I think I read a book called Raving Fans by
Love that book.
Right?
It's amazing.
So create that raving fan, right? If I can teach you, I can give you that experience of that you're in there, that you become a raving fan for my business. Then so I can take some of this business side that
I'm a raving fan. I'm telling people when they want to go for sushi right here.
Thank you. And so to take that and to try to keep that in mind, and teach my staff, take a little bit of that business side that I worked in for 22 years now, and teach and pass it on to my staff, to drip it onto them as time goes on. And a lot of times they don't even know. They're coming in. They think they're coming in just to serve tables. But I'm like, hey, there's a little more to this. Let me teach you, And so I didn't know what I knew about the restaurant business, that they would collide. Right. And so that was important to me, that our staff is doing more than just, hey, how's it going? And handing you food. Right. So
experience from start to finish.
Yeah. And so having good music, having good food, and having a consistent experience, right? I don't want you to come in one time and go to just be blown away. And then the next time you're like, what was that like?
You need the consistent.
Exactly. So that's one of the biggest things for me, is that consistency. So you'll see that in our food. We should see that in the experience that you have there from our servers. And then at the same time, hopefully some good music while you're there too.
Cool. Did we throw out a name and address?
We're Ola Sushi, 918 North Coast Highway 101. That's Lucadia, California. So corner of Lucadia Boulevard and 101. A lot of people know Solterra Wine Bar. We're right next door.
Right next to Solterra. That's a good spot too.
So Chris is the winemaker there. So we work at, so another thing we do, All of our wines are Solterra wines.
Okay.
So we bring in,
Across.
so we bring in his wines and sell them. He's right there making them. He makes amazing wine, and it
Why
makes
not?
sense.
Yeah.
So
Cross promote.
yeah. So we do that, and if we've got a long line, you're probably going to sit at Solterra and have a glass of wine and wait
Totally.
before you get in. So it's been
Makes
a good
sense.
been a good place for us. So they've
Yeah.
been great neighbors to us.
So shifting gears a little bit, fatherhood. You're an amazing father. You know, do a lot of cool stuff with your kids.
Well, I try.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Like, and how, you know, raising kids in today's environment. I mean, it's obviously landscapes change from when we were kids.
Mhm.
You know, instilling the same values. We talked about that a little earlier. You know, youngers, bringing them up in this day and age. It's different.
No doubt. I think our kids are growing up faster than they ever have before. And we see that across the board. And you see that in your friends' kids, you see that in your own kids, and trying to protect that. I have a 9-year-old daughter. Well, she'll be 9 in September rather. You know, I see her every day. Every day I see her growing up just a little bit more, right? And it scares the hell out of me. But
me too. Seeing my kids, it's so fast.
It goes by so fast, and the way they think, and the way that, and you're hoping that all that time you put in at the beginning, it's going to come out well at the end, right? And so I think that that's where it matters, right? It's the time at the beginning, right? And so one of the things that I did differently was, and I was fortunate. I mean, I'm divorced, right? So her mom and I aren't together anymore. But I was fortunate to be able to take the time when I had her and make that her time.
Okay.
And so, as much as possible, was able to shut down the businesses that I run from a standpoint of taking my time during that time and just be with her. And so I've you know, what that mean, we were camping, we were fishing, we were hiking, we were hanging out at the house, and you know, swimming, teaching you how to swim, teaching you how to tie your shoes, doing all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But making sure that time with her was her time. And I didn't have that as a kid growing up. So it was important to me that I could, even though she wasn't going to have me 100% of the time, but
she did.
The time that she'd have 100% of me.
100% of you.
Yeah. And so that was important to me. And so now I see the challenges we have ahead of us, right? As your kid gets a little bit older. If you're the hero.
You're the hero. Yep.
And it's really easy. It's really easy to be the focus of your kids' attention, right? Now we're starting to see some of those distractions, right? Your friends and your friends and your iPad or these, you know, these. So yeah, we haven't seen so much of this. We've been able to keep away from the social media types of things so far, but you know, there are some distractions there, and then the influences from the outside, right? The other opinions, different things, and they start listening and go, well, hey, maybe dad wasn't right on this thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Where did that question come from? That's out of left field.
Yeah, exactly. You know when your kid comes to you with a question that they didn't come
from this house.
Yeah.
That's a unique question. Yeah.
So, but encouraging that part of it too, right? You want them to come up and talk to you about the things that they're going, not just shut them down and go, hey, wrong. You know, like you want to say wrong, but let me explain to you why.
Yeah.
And
Talk through it.
Creating that environment where she can come up to us and really be open with what's going on and things she's thinking about, things that she's experiencing has been important to me. And then just, you know, I think one of the things I see at my kids' school, it says, keep your kids longer. Right. Yeah. So we've gone through and I think there's a petition there, and I think we signed that says that our kids don't get cell phones till they're in 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
So
protect the innocence.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that, you know, you're not going to get a cell phone until you're in 8th grade. And
you don't need it.
Well, and all of her friends there at school won't have them either. Right. Which makes it a little easier. Right. So you're just like, well, I know little Jimmy doesn't have one and Susie doesn't have one. Right. And, you know, so no, it's really easy. No, the answer is no, you're not going to get one. So, and you know, that kind of solidarity among parents kind of protects us all.
Create that uniformity. We're all doing this together.
Exactly. Yep. And then I think all the kids, you know, end up accepting it and nobody's questioning it. Right.
So that's the way it is. And
exactly. So that's been one of the big things for us. But I think more than anything, just being present, right? Yeah. Just, you know, having that time with her has been really important to me. And, you know, you don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole of spoiling them either, right? Like have to earn it, you know, that type of thing. It's hard. I mean, there's definitely a lot going on out there where you're looking at it and you're going, it's just easier just to give it to you right now. Let's just move on. Here, have the toy, have whatever you want.
Right.
Let's go. Right.
Go stare at a screen.
Yeah. Well, and you want the kids to have something that you didn't have, right? You're like, hey, I want to.
Well, you want to give them a better life than what you had or whatever. It's like natural to want that, but
not at the expense of turning them into a brat,
Poor
right?
little
Yeah,
brat. Yeah.
exactly.
No,
So
that's my fear is like, you want to, there's that balance, and you want to make sure that you're providing, but not just throwing stuff at them where it's like they feel entitled. You never create an entitlement,
Especially if it's coming from like you never had it as your kid. You want to give them the things you never had, but
No doubt.
where do you draw the line?
No doubt. Yeah. So that, I mean, the nice part is I have a restaurant which has lots of hard work that you can put a kid up
Slub the day.
Lots of dishes need to be washed every day. So I mean, she's already starting to ask you, when do I get to earn money? She sees all the people, working and doing this. I can do that. And I go, yes, you can. Your time will come.
Dad, you had $3,000 at 11. Where am I at?
I had a good friend. I probably around the 8-ish range, similar to your daughter, and his parents owned the Baskin Robbins in my small town that I grew up in, and his name was Drew Barnhart, I believe. And we would go into the Baskin Robbins, parents owned it, and we'd go behind the counter, and we would like clean the freezer and like kind of just help around there. And then what did we get paid with? Free ice cream. Unlimited free ice cream is a good form of payment, especially when it was like 31 flavors or whatever it was back then.
Summer.
31, in the summer, like, I can actually scoop it myself. It was,
That's pretty cool.
So yes, I mean, same kind of premise, like, hey, put them to work, teach them my work ethic, and it works out.
Yeah, well, she's gonna be she's in tow with me, right? So if
Yeah.
I've got to be there, it's an opportunity for her to learn something too, right?
Yep.
And she loves the idea of making a little bit of money, to being able to do what she wants to do with it, et cetera. It's like every other kid, right? Most of the kids like the idea of having money in their pocket, but they don't realize how it gets there, right?
Yeah.
So just bridging that gap, right? That doesn't just not falling out of the sky.
Core values. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's been that's kind of where we're at now. We're working with a broken leg right now, so she's having a bum summer, but
that's not fun.
But we got a couple more weeks. So
Okay, almost through it. Yeah. I've been through a couple of those myself, the kids and arms and whatnot. Casts. Yeah. All right, so Ryan, let's talk for a second about just the right way to order sushi. Like omakase is a popular
Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts. Yeah, exactly. Let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that omakase is something that people are learning more about now. I think that there's an opportunity to educate our clients on what it is and how it works. It can be somewhat intimidating too, right? You see it on the menu, you see market price, or you see something like, what the hell is that?
How much is that going to cost me?
You gotta ask, you can't afford it.
So you're just looking at it, you're going, oh, I don't know, I mean, and so is this like a grab bag, or is this all the stuff that you like the stuff that's going bad, or how does this work? So what omakase is, I think as it translates, is I'm in your hands. So trusting the chef, right? I'm literally in your hands. And what that is the way I see it is it gives the chef an opportunity to show off the ingredients that he has, right? So to take the best fish we have,
create like a masterpiece,
and create a masterpiece. So and kind of a process of, and it should have a story kind of with it, right? So you're starting with something light and working your way through, and getting into the richer, into the toros and things like that at the end. That's my idea of what an omakase should be. So it gives each, and you might see it'll be a little different from, hey, even though we talk about consistency at the restaurant, right? But if you sit with Chef Matt, and he's our head chef, or you sit with John, he's the next guy in line, and his omakase should be a little different,
right?
Because it's a signature of who he is, right? Not what our restaurant is. Yes. So that's important to me, is that it gives
personal.
There's a personal experience that's coming from the chef, right? So I may dictate, hey, you need to have these types of fish in an omakase, but or start with a base of X, but after that, go on your own, that type of thing. So there's very little coming from the restaurant, from management, let's call it, or ownership, saying, hey, this is what it has to be. No, give them the they do the same thing repetitively and over all day, right? So giving them the opportunity, they appreciate it when customers order it, because it gives them they're excited to do something.
They get to have some freedom, and they take pride in what they're preparing, and it's the story and presentation and all that.
Exactly. So it's a direct reflection on them, right? So it's their opportunity to walk you through their story of that day. So we're excited to see them. there is a difference, by the way, between to-go omakase and omakase at the restaurant. And between omakase at the restaurant at sitting at a table versus sitting at the bar. Best place to get omakase, sit in front of your chef.
Sit at the bar.
Yeah, sit at the bar, sit in front of your chef. It translates well over to a table.
Sure.
It can even translate into to go. We'll take it, but from a true restaurant experience, what we're trying to provide to you, I highly recommend it in person at the bar. And I think you'll be blown away by it as you go on and you know, especially your first time. Don't order omakase to go. Go sit in front of your chef.
Love it.
So
very good. Do some don'ts. Maybe
do order fresh wasabi. So that's one of the things that a lot of people are going and they order the just the powder based
fresh
wasabi.
So
Fresh wasabi. A lot of people don't know what it is, right?
Oh,
so it's a Kazami wasabi. You have the opportunity to do that. Please order it. Ask. We have specials, but ask what they are. Ask, our servers and our chefs should be able to tell you where the fish is coming from. If you prefer line caught fish versus farmed fish, those are options, right?
Okay.
You have gluten-free items. If you have other intolerances, we're here to give you the experience you're looking for. And we're going to meet those expectations to the best of our ability. There are some things that we can't do, and I hope that our customers will understand that.
Right.
Don't bring your own fish into the restaurant. So
I caught this today.
Can you do anything with trout?
Don't bring your own fish. Everybody thinks that's cool, right? Because you're in Mexico, you can do it. You walk up, you're like, hey, I caught a bluefin. I walked up to there, and they did it 3 different ways for me, and that's amazing. We'd love to be able to do that for you. It creates cross-contamination issues for us. So we don't do it. If we did do it, it would be a disaster. You have to set up separate cutting boards. It's not a good thing. So we control our product from beginning to end and how it's sourced, et cetera. So we want to make sure that we're not causing issue for other customers. So don't bring your own fish into the restaurant.
Daily deliveries, you talked about that earlier. So I've always thought that was fascinating because you want the freshest fish. You're getting it from all over the world, Japan, wherever, and it's it's being flown in. What is that? What is that? Is that like from the time it's caught to the time it's delivered to your store? Like, is that like how many? It's always iced down, I'm assuming. But what does that look like? How long?
So just here, even in town, there's several different intermediaries or wholesalers, whoever you want to call them, from Ocean Fresh to.
Especially in San Diego.
Yeah, there's tons of them, right? So you can go into their warehouses and sit there, and they've got master fish. I don't even know what they
quality control.
Quality control there. You can sit down and go through with them each individual fish that they have. And so once they know your restaurant, they know what you're looking for. You've built a rapport with them. You've sat with them and talked to them. Hey, this is the quality of fish I'm looking for. These are the cuts I'm looking for. Right. We know that those are already set for us. When we order, they know our restaurant. They know what we want, and it comes in exactly
quantity and all that good
stuff.
Yeah.
So we just order the quantity. Right. They know what cut of the fish we want. They know what quality of fish we want, et cetera. Right? Because not all fish are created equal, and not all restaurants are the same, right? And so what quality of fish, what one restaurant might order might not be the same as the next. So the good thing I could say is we're always at the top level. So we're always asking for the best product possible. And so we're happy to pass that on to our customers, and it gives us I'm excited. I'm excited for you to come in and taste what the best products are. And we're going to put them out there, and we're going to do our best at putting them out there and make them even better. So
great segue into educating Joe Schmo sushi guy. What would you say to the guy that comes in, pours his soy sauce in there, he or she, then puts the ginger in the soy sauce, mixes it all together with wasabi, gets the roll, takes the first piece, just dunks it right in there?
So eat your fish how you want. That's the first thing I'll tell you, right? Do whatever makes you happy. Go, that's fine. But from a traditional standpoint, if your chefs put a sauce on it, it's probably already taken care of. It's probably, you can ask your chef too, or your server, but if there's a sauce on it, eat it as it is.
Yeah, at least try it first, right?
Yeah. If you still want to put whatever it is you want ketchup on there, put ketchup on there, but right? No, literally, but it's your food. You're paying for it. Eat it the way you want to. We're going to serve it the way we think it should be eaten. Right. And so, if there's a sauce on it, it's probably good the way it is.
Sure.
If not, then feel free to go for the soy sauce from there.
Right.
And one thing I would
Wasabi,
say,
get the fresh.
get the fresh wasabi,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
not every restaurant carries, it's very expensive. So not every restaurant carries it, but I highly recommend it. It's not as spicy as the powder based wasabi,
It's
right?
almost like a pickled or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it comes in that kind of relish type.
Yeah.
You know, but
So good though.
the flavor on it, I think actually enhances
Absolutely.
the flavor of the fish rather than something that just cleans out your sinuses, right?
Right.
So, you know, what am I looking for here, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's important, is knowing what you're looking for, what flavors are something that's going to make something taste better. I think the fresh wasabi really does that.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any challenges like, supply chain issues, within the restaurant space that you want to just talk
God,
about or
yeah.
share, things that, staffing issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole world's experiencing it right now, right? Post-COVID.
Yeah.
So the post-COVID environment we find ourselves in is challenging to say the least. We're getting squeezed as small businesses across the board, basically from every direction. And not to, we're not here to cry about it, but just to recognize it and to figure out how to get around this, right? Is this temporary? Is this permanent? What's it going to look like? What's the landscape look like? Our food prices are soaring. And it's, we're seeing fish product that, hey, this salmon is double the cost it was a year ago.
Wow.
Double. So if I double the cost of the roll, you're going to look at me going, you're crazy, right?
Like $17 roll. Now it's $35.
Yeah. It doesn't, I can't pass that directly on.
Got to absorb some of that.
Yeah. So I have to absorb some of that. So you're getting because if I did pass it on, it would.
Yeah. People are going to come in and go sticker shock, and
they wouldn't understand. They wouldn't understand. So it's something that's got to happen gradually. Even though it doesn't happen so gradually to us,
right?
It's something that's going to happen gradually. And I just think people should know, I don't have this goal of seeing you come in and buy a $40 sushi roll.
Right.
Business owners really just want to keep their same percentage of profit and their lifestyle that they had previously. Right. So what do they have to do to do that? Right. So either it's got to give somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not giving on the employee side of things either. Right. Because they're in a lot of our employees drive 30, 40, 50 miles a day.
Oh my gosh.
To be here. We have employees that drive from Tijuana every day.
They're taking a pay cut in the gas prices, right? Just to get there and back. It's costing them to get there.
So we're paying them significantly more than we were a year or 2 years ago. Right. And rightfully so. Right. But
cost of living.
Yeah, no, the cost of living's gone up dramatically. So we're trying to meet those gaps and keep them satisfied and content in their positions and hopefully happy, right? Beyond all of that, right? Everybody deserves to have a happy life, right?
Absolutely.
So we're seeing that squeeze happen across the board. Everything from rice to soy sauce to, even things you just can't get. Wow. Like you want three ply napkins today? Sorry, we got one ply. Oh, and so those are things you're looking at. We're going to 10-week waiting list for 3-ply napkins. It's like, come on. Yeah. So
it's like the toilet paper shortage.
Yeah. So those are things like that you you're looking at and going, it's, you want soy sauce in packets? No, we don't have them in packets. We can give them 5-gallon buckets, but we can't get them in packets because, you're sitting back. So things that you think were ordinary, things you took for granted, we're starting to see huge price increases on them. And then at the same time, we're seeing just a lack of availability. And I hear that it's going to get worse before it gets better. So when your favorite restaurant doesn't have your thing on the menu, it might be because of price. It might be because it's not available. But be patient with us. As I guess.
I've seen it all when we're eating out. Because we eat out a fair amount. You go into places and it's like 15 minutes for them to come say hello or take a drink order or whatever, and you have to be patient.
It's been tough. Yeah, it's been and finding it's funny because you're paying more than you've ever paid before, right? As from a restaurant owner standpoint, you're paying more than you've ever paid before, but then you're still having in some situations trouble filling the position.
Oh yeah, especially with this younger generation.
Yeah. The whole nut. So
pay me now.
We take a special care of the younger generation of bringing them in and teaching them that, right? Yeah. Teaching them the value of hard work. But there's definitely the workforce is definitely smaller than it once was. of people that are necessarily qualified, but capable and have the desire to come in.
Exactly. I think that's it. The desire.
Yeah.
The desire to come in and actually and do the job, right? Is it, hey, I have a big pet peeve that says, hey, that's not my job. You're right. It's not your job. Someone else will be doing it tomorrow. So yeah, that's the first time you say that to me, I know you're not the right person on my team.
On your team.
So, and those are things that you learn over time. And so I definitely give them that conversation up front that we're all here, especially these family owned businesses. Yeah. We're all here to create an experience for a guest, right?
Absolutely.
And what it takes to make that happen, we're going to do as a team. So that's what I'm trying to instill in them. So that way they can take that from this business to any business. We're all going to work as a team to make this happen. It can be in your family. It can be anywhere in your life. We're all going to work together. Here's the common goal. Here's what, and just setting that path for everybody. Sure. And guidance and just being there to help hold everybody's hands and keep everybody accountable. Yeah. So,
well, dude, you're doing an amazing job. I'm a huge fan of your restaurant and just you in general. You've got a killer story. I appreciate you coming to hang out with me for whatever, 45 minutes or whatever it's been. But I'll be coming into the restaurant and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, come in to see us. We're excited. Hopefully we've been looking and there might be another one in the near future.
Oh, really?
So we'd like there to be, we control some costs here, but see where that's going. But we've been down the path a few times, trying to find the right place. Yeah. And I have a feeling that one will pop up here soon enough. So
well, location, right? You picked the right spot for the first one. You got an eye for it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a blessing to us. So we're looking forward to the future.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. It was fun.
Thank you.
All right, man. See you.